Donald Trump is live.
Oh my God.
Okay, stop, bro.
Oh my God.
It's not even that you're like hurting other people's ears. You're hurting my ears.
Yes.
You are so loud.
Hogwatch? Are you kidding me? He's live? Fuck
Okay.
yeah. Oh my God, it's my favorite. I love Hogwatch. Oh my God, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. I'm going to tell you people.
Okay, hold on. I think he's live. Let's see if we can find it. With the #1 Donald Trump impersonator. Isn't he live at CPAC? Or he went live on CPAC? Oh, he is live.
Oh, let's reverse it to when he started.
No. We'll go back to the beginning afterwards.
So I lost a great friend, and as you know, the Prime Minister, what a great gentleman he was. What a great man he was.
Shinzo
We had
Abe. Dark
incredible
Brandon
relationship.
executed
There was
him.
Nobody could really like him, and the job he did for Japan.
Can you turn it up?
So he's right now on greener fairways. You know, he loved golf, and he could play golf too. He was good, and we had a lot of fun together. But we made a lot of great deals for the United States and for Japan. The relationship was incredible, and he is a man who will be greatly missed. Greatly missed. I want to thank you for your incredible support also, because I just walked in the door and they told me I had this straw poll. Now I just come in, sir, you won the straw poll. I said, I better damn win that straw poll. Now, and done by McLaughlin. You know, the McLaughlin brothers are fantastic pollsters, so it's an honor. And I guess we had 69% and 99% approval. Why couldn't I get 100? Why? 99. Wow. When was the last time somebody had a 99% approval? That's pretty good. Thank you, everybody. You're the people that voted. Wow.
They're the only ones that knew about it.
And second place was 24%, and then you had them down in 1, and most of them didn't get anything. And not that I want that to
Who has an
happen, of
Austin
course,
as
but
Donald
it's okay
Trump meme for
and
me?
a very special thanks that I do
Chat,
really
who in the
appreciate
chat has
that,
an Austin
because
as Donald
it's a very,
Trump
you know, it's very
meme?
respected
A picture
that
from
stuff
CPAC.
A picture.
comes out and heavily covered, and really something. It's really where the heart of conservative people in this country.
It's going to be in
is.
Hoscourt.
That straw
Somebody
poll
will
is
have it.
a tremendous
I
indicator.
want
of
to put it on
what's
the.
happening in our country. And a very special thanks for the amazing support from so many conservative Hispanic Americans in the Americano media straw poll. I got 81%. Is that nice? 81. With a second place finisher, I don't even know who it is.
There's a better one
second
at
place
CPAC.
finisher was at 16%. That's pretty good. So I want to thank you very much. The Hispanic people are incredible, and they have really embraced the Republican Party. I say actually they've embraced me, not really the Republicans, but I won't say that because I don't want to get myself in trouble with Matt.
Such a terrible photo.
But they really are. They're incredible people.
Blasted.
They're hardworking, unbelievable. But I've been watching CPAC for years, and as you know, it used to be very divided. You had Ron Paul, and great guy Ron Paul, a little different, very much like his son Rand, who I also like a lot. But Ron's a little different, a little difficult, like Rand. Rand can be difficult, but you know, when they're your friend, they're your friend. But you had the Ron Paul people, you had the Bush people, and of course you had the rhinos. And I don't know, I'm shocked to hear that. But now there's a great feeling of unity. You know, when you see poll numbers like that, 99% approval, there was no such thing. There was no such thing. And when you see those
Honestly,
numbers,
that's
there's a great feeling of unity. Not only CPAC, but
That's
I
more
think
uniting than any
Matt
straw
and
poll
the
I've ever put out,
Republican
to be
Party,
honest with you.
I
That's
think
pretty
we
impressive.
have to do what we have to do to bring our nation back, right? So as we gather tonight, our country is being destroyed more from the inside than out. America is on the edge of an abyss, and our movement is the only force on earth that can save it. This movement right here. What we do in the next few months and the next few years will determine whether American civilization will collapse or fail, or whether it will triumph and thrive, frankly, like never before. This is no time for complacency. We cannot be complacent. We have to seize this opportunity to deal with the radical left, socialist lunatics, and fascists.
Can't let
And
it
we
happen.
have to hit them very, very hard. Has to be a crippling defeat because our country cannot take it. You remember when I was campaigning, and again, we did much better in the second election than we did in the first, by many millions of votes, much, much better. But
And he still took a L.
I used to say, not thinking this could even be very possible, but it always had a chance. It will be Venezuela, large scale, or Venezuela on steroids. That's what's happening to our country. It's not even thinkable. We have to take this chance
What does
to
he mean when he says we're
shatter
gonna hit it-
the
we're gonna
corrupt
hit the left
Washington
harder?
establishment once and for all. We have to run aggressive, unrelenting, and boldly populist campaigns. Populist. We want to be populist. We want to love our country. That's what we want.
No, it's okay. Just we'll watch this. I'll you in a minute.
And we have to throw off the shackles of globalism and reassert two very important words. You know what the words are? America first. It's a very simple thing. We have to put our country first. And we had that done, and we were doing great. If we do this, then not only will we fire Joe Biden.
Name your price contestant leak. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, I'm denying it completely. I'm just
Wait, what is this?
I'm denying that Ray leaked that just now.
What is that?
I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about. I have not. I cannot confirm nor deny that leak.
That's crazy.
I cannot confirm nor deny it.
Dude, what is happening? You got a lot of leaks, dude. There's a lot of hella people are just like leaking their
I've got more leaks than the Trump administration.
Yeah, what the fuck?
In China right now, what's happening?
I cannot
inside
confirm nor deny
Taiwan
that.
with
Fucked up.
what's going on. She played right into their hands because now they have an excuse to do whatever they're doing. And I will tell you, it would have never, ever happened in a million years under Trump. I can tell you that. We played right into their hands, but we will save our nation.
Season 2
And
is
American
just
power,
falling apart
prosperity,
before
and
it starts.
prestige will
I
come
know.
back, and it'll come
Horrible
back
leaks.
strongly.
You hate
Victory cannot
No,
come
I don't even know.
a moment too soon. You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would not have done the damage that Joe Biden has done to our country in less than 2 years. It's true.
It's true.
The contrast between the Trump administration's amazing success and the Biden administration's breathtaking failure could not be more stark. Let's look at the facts. I got gasoline for cars. Put it in the tank. Thank you very much.
Dude, I love that he says
$1.87.
I love that he says
a
like,
gallon.
you
I got
know,
it
gas
down
prices
to-
were so low because of COVID. Like he takes
They have
credit.
it now at $5, $6, $7. A friend of mine from California called me this morning. He just paid $8.55. He
That's
told me.
not even
That's not
California.
true.
You'll follow. You'll follow. It's not even believable.
That's literally
With the
it's
help
not,
of our great
because it's not
Texas
true.
oil and gas
It's just not
workers,
true.
we
That's why
achieved
it's not
American
believable.
energy independence, and we were even energy dominant, and we were
I
going
love
to be
when people
double
say
the
like that's
size
not even
of
believable
Russia
about like a
and
complete
Saudi
false
Arabia
statement. You know what I mean?
combined.
Yeah, it's not believable
We were
because it's
going
fake.
to be energy dominant. Now the United States is becoming a beggar for energy. We're begging. We gave you the largest tax cuts and regulation cuts in American history. That's why we had the job numbers. And don't forget, you have not good job numbers right now. They're not counting all of the millions of people that aren't working. If you looked at the real numbers, that 3.5 would be double that. Maybe some people say triple that. The radical Democrats now intend to impose the biggest
talking
tax
about?
hike. Think of this. The biggest tax
You mean
hike
the not workforce?
in bad times in American history. This will be,
If you count all the
what they're
people
doing
not
right
eligible
now,
to work,
the
folks.
biggest tax hike.
Unemployment,
Children and the elderly.
The
Children and the
exact
retired.
opposite of
I
what
was
I
making
did.
them get back
And
to
they're
work.
working feverishly to pile on more regulations at levels never seen before. I asked a lot
Unemployment
of
is
the big
officially, by
companies,
the
a
way,
lot
as of
the
this week, unemployment is now officially reached before pandemic levels.
cuts that I got for the country to get it going. And we never had a country going like we had before.
The economy's just on
China
autopilot
virus came in.
at
We
this
never
point.
had anything like
It's
it.
just
And
doing
then
what
we
it
did
wants
it
to do.
again. We did it
always been
again.
on
We did it
autopilot.
twice.
You're
The stock
figuring it
market
out.
was actually higher. It was actually higher than it was pre-COVID, as they say. COVID, such a nice name. I wonder where they got it. Mitch McConnell got taken for a ride by Joe Manchin and the group.
Oh, he still hates
and
Mitch
the great
McConnell
people
because
of
Mitch
West
didn't-
Virginia have been seriously hurt by these political antics. I
He
love
hates
West
Mitch because
Virginia.
Mitch
I fought
wouldn't
for it.
concede
Won by
and said that
45
the election
points,
wasn't
45.
stolen. That's why he's like
Joe
gonna carry
Manchin
that
has
forever.
totally sold West Virginia out. What he's done to West Virginia, I don't believe they're going to stand for it. Let's see what happens.
Wait, he wants Manchin
And I
out
said
after
this was going to happen. Joe
Well, of course he wants
Manchin
Manchin.
is devastating
Manchin is,
West Virginia.
betraying the
Kirsten
Democrats.
Sinema agreed to
No, he
allow
doesn't
this
like
massive
Manchin. He
tax
just wanted him
increase
out.
just yesterday to go forward, only provided that Wall Streeters are allowed to keep their
The
current
Republicans, sorry, he betrayed the
carried
Republicans.
interest provision. It's a hell of a provision. In fact, I had it ended, and then I ended up getting so much more for it. I would have terminated it. We were all set to terminate. But we got many, many other things for it. They gave up everything to keep it. It's a ripoff. What happened to Manchin and Sinema? What happened? We're trying to figure out what the hell happened.
Wait, why would they?
Where
why
did
would
this
the
new philosophy
CPAC
come from? All
Why
of a
would
sudden?
the previous Republican president talk about Joe Manchin
if
and
this
Kristen
deal
Sinema on
passes,
such terms,
they will
as
both
though the
lose
expectation is that they're
the
supposed to
next
fuck up
election?
every Democratic bill?
I do believe that.
Huh. So
West
interesting.
Virginia and Arizona will not stand for what they did to them. And that includes the races that are being run right now. They're not going to take it. And I told the old broken crow, Mitch McConnell, that this was going to happen. No, I said it. I said it loud and clear. He should have never approved that fake infrastructure deal, never approved it. He approved that infrastructure deal for trillions of dollars, and 91% of it is Green New Deal nonsense. There's only 8% to 9% that's actually for
Well, it
infrastructure.
wasn't big enough, too.
But he said, if we approve this one,
It was a weak
they will never
bill.
come back and ask for more. I said, yes, they will. And guess what? They're voting on it now. So maybe this speech can stop them, because when Manchin hears me say he's going to lose West Virginia, and I'll go down and campaign against him as hard as anybody can.
Brother, if Manchin gave a fuck about his seat, he wouldn't be behaving in the way that he is. Good luck campaigning against Joe Manchin, what, in however many years he's up for re-election. I don't even think he gives a shit.
And when Sinema does that to Arizona, and I will tell you, we have a person that I believe is going to be the next governor. I don't
Hey,
think she's-
remember when Trump did do that against Kirsten Sinema, and even that fucking dumbass Kirsten Sinema was able to defeat Donald Trump's Trump-backed candidate by narrow margins, but still. So maybe Trump's word wasn't that fucking successful ultimately. Kirsten Sinema sucks, but the idea that like Donald Trump is going to be able to fucking destroy Kirsten Sinema is,
But I got along
tried and
with
it didn't
him
even fucking work.
fantastically well.
So
Couldn't have been better. He called me all the time. We had a good relationship. And he said when the impeachment hoax started, I would never vote against you. You're a great president. I will never vote against you. And when we were counting up the numbers, which we won very easily, by the way, but when we were counting up the numbers, I say, one Democrat I know for sure will never vote against me on impeachment is Joe Manchin. So they're taking the votes, and he voted
What?
against me. I said,
Bro,
oh, he
he's a
must have made
Democrat,
mistake.
dog.
Perhaps
He's a Democrat. Ultimately, he's still a Democrat. Why are the Republicans taking Joe
I said
Manchin
to
for
Mitch
granted like
McConnell
this?
that-
What the fuck?
he will do this, and
They're
he will
literally
hurt
like, wow, I
our
can't
nation,
beve it. I can't
and he will
believe it.
hurt
What are you going to
the
do? Are you going to
Republican
fucking rally
Party, and he
against
will
him in the
hurt
primary?
independents,
Like, what do
and
you
he's gonna
mean?
hurt
He turned on
Democrats,
you
he's
after
gonna
you tried
hurt
to
everybody.
overthrow the
But
government.
Mitch McConnell has hurt our
I'm
party
going to put
very
a real
badly.
socialist against Joe Manchin in West Virginia.
Should have
Okay,
never
dude.
happened.
Not
And
a
I
fake
said
one.
it, and I said it publicly when they approved that horrible infrastructure deal, and then they go and they do this, and they're not finished yet. You know, they still have a little time.
By the
left.
way, he's again mad about a fucking
McConnell is the
infrastructure
most
deal
unpopular
passing.
politician in the
Which,
country,
remember,
more
Donald
so than
Trump,
crazy
infrastructure
Nancy
week,
Pelosi,
infrastructure
and-
week, over and over again. He
And
talked about
something has to be
bipartisan
done. He
infrastructure
raises large
bills,
campaign
and now he's just like
contributions
upset
for
that that
senators, and that's
happened.
how
It was
he
like
holds
literally
onto
a
his power.
neutered bill to begin with.
And even I tell some of the senators who I'm very friendly with, which is most of them, you saw the vote, they call, they say, what do we do? You know, all of a sudden they're offered 20, and it's hard for them to raise money.
Ridiculous.
But McConnell will offer them $20 million because he raises all this money, and he offers them to many of the senators, not all of them. And they'll call me, what do I do? What do I do? I said, take the money.
Yeah.
Take it. It's all right. Don't worry about it. He'll end up where he ends up, take the money.
Take
They
the
need
money.
it. But it's not a good thing. And under the Trump administration, we had the greatest economy in the history of the world. We had no inflation. We had no inflation. It was just,
Zero
nobody could
inflation.
even believe it. They wrote books and they're writing books on it. Biden created the worst inflation in 49 years, 9.1%. I believe it's much higher than that, by the way. And it's going higher, costing families nearly
20%,
$5,000, and now they're estimating
I've got a
$6,000
friend
to
in
$7,000
California
a year. Think
who
of that.
just paid $300
$7,000
for a
year.
slice of bread.
After the pandemic, we handed the radical Democrats the fastest economic recovery ever recorded, the history of our country ever recorded. They've turned that into 2 straight quarters of negative economic growth, also known, despite their protestation to the contrary, as a recession. And just hope that the recession doesn't turn into a depression, because the way they're doing things, it could be a lot worse than a recession. And the labor force participation is the worst in many, many decades. That's the number that you have to look at. I rebuilt our military, including our nuclear capability, and we hope to God we never have to use it. But I rebuilt it. They had equipment, and they had rockets, and they had bombs that they had no idea if they even worked. They were so old. It's all
What are
new.
you talking about?
We're newly renovated, and the power is greater than any power ever.
Saying they
in the
renovated the
history of our
bombs?
country, but in the history of this world, and we just hope it never gets used. And we created a thing called Space
great
Force.
new show.
They smiled at it. Biden smiled at it. And
Pimp
it's
my
turned out
nuke.
to be so important, not, as you know, in Space Force, not for 79 years since Air Force has anything like that been done. 79 years. Air Force was the last one, now it's Space Force. Remember the first day they laughed at it, oh, Space Force, they thought they were going to end it, and the public went crazy because you people know much more than they do. They surrendered our strength and our
The fuck we don't.
Surrendered our strength in the
dignity.
air and in
and
space.
turned Afghanistan
China.
into the greatest
To China.
humiliation our country has ever seen.
Horrible, folks.
Not the fact that we were leaving, because I was the one that got us down to a small number of soldiers, but we were going to leave.
He
with
undeniably is in better
strength
shape
and
than
with
Joe
dignity.
Biden, which is really
we were gonna
sad.
keep Bagram, not for Afghanistan, but because China's nuclear plants are 1 hour away, where they make their nuclear weapons. 1 hour
My mom
away.
is a super
It's one of
lib.
the
She won't
biggest
cheat. She's
airfields
like, no,
anywhere
he's
in the world.
not.
Cost us billions
I was like,
of dollars
Mom,
many years ago. I was at a
have you
Kickboxing
seen how
And you know who's
big Donald
occupying
Trump is?
Bagram right now? China. And the fake news doesn't want to mention it.
He did
But-
it. He did the thing. China.
The way we left was a virtual surrender. When you leave, you don't take your soldiers out first. You take your soldiers out last. After the Americans get out, and you take your soldiers out after your equipment is taken out. And all of that was happening. This is the most incredible blunder. And the fake news doesn't want to write about it because that's
They
bad for
quite
them. Look, you
literally
don't even
did.
hear about so many bad things. You don't ever hear about them anymore. We
It
created
was
the
all over the
safest
news.
border in
That's how
U.S.
we know it
history
was
by
botched.
far. By far. And now it's the worst border ever in history. There's
The
never been a
worst
border
border. It
like
was
it,
so
and that
good.
includes, in my opinion, third
When
world
I was
countries,
president, it was
because
so
there's no
good.
third
It's
world
the worst
country that
now,
will allow
believe me.
Millions of people to pour in. They have no idea. Last month, 141 countries were represented. Not just your 3 plus Mexico. 141 countries were represented with people that came in illegally. We're going to be paying a price for this for many years to come in terms of terrorism and crime. We ended catch and release. We deported record numbers of illegal alien gang members. And we built hundreds and hundreds of miles of border wall. In fact, we completely finished our original border wall plan, despite 2.5 years of horrible Democrat-inspired lawsuits and litigation. And I won all of those suits. And then we started and we did some job, and that gave us these incredible numbers that, frankly, everyone talks about today. And the number of people coming in, that's not 3 million or 4 million. In my opinion, it would be anywhere from 10 to 15 million people. this year, 10 to 15 million people. We have no idea who the hell they are. We then added much more of the border wall, and most of that got finished too. 3 weeks was all it would have taken, 3 weeks, and it would have been completed, the extra addition that
It was
we
so
added.
close to being finished.
The border was the best ever. Think of it. It was the best ever.
God,
I went to
hate
Mexico.
This because, I hate this because,
And I said to the president of Mexico, who I like a lot, he's a socialist.
I hate
but-
this so much because, Brandon already literally is continuing with Donald Trump's border wall and is doing the smart border thing and has unironically worked with Mexico on that initiative. And Mexico's spending like $1 billion on it, which is the worst fucking part.
And we started a negotiation.
Like, the Democrats
A
are
woman
such
from the
fucking
State
losers.
Department
No one even believes them when they do these sorts of things. So Trump can still get the credit for it
Give me your top
regardless.
10 things.
And now it's just normalized that the border is supposed to be
I said, give me your
vicious
top
and white
10
native.
things that you want. And they gave me 10, and the woman looked at me. She laughed. She said, sir, I've been dealing on Mexico for 25 years. You won't get any. I said, no, I'll get them all. I'll get them all. Guaranteed. Guaranteed I get them all. And she's smart. She was a good woman, by the way, but she's been doing this for 25 years. She said, you won't get anything. And what happened is the top representative came in. We met in front of this woman and others. And I said, you're going to have to give us 28,000 troops. You're going to have to do a thing called remain in Mexico. In other words, people can no longer come into our country. You have to remain in Mexico. Hundreds of thousands of people remain in Mexico. And 8 other things, which were in many ways probably worse, right? Probably worse. And I remember he laughed at me. He said, we won't do this. He thought I was crazy. He said, no, you're going to do it. You will. You do. No, we won't do it. We will not do that. We're not going to give you troops free. We're not going to give you troops, and we're not going to give you remain in Mexico.
Why is it
would we
getting
do such
lower
a
and
thing? I
lower?
said,
Why is his
because on
voice getting
Monday
lower and
morning,
lower?
I'm signing an order that every single car that you make and every single product that you sell into the United States will have a 25% tariff on it.
When the perks hit,
And he said, may I leave the room to make a call? I said, yes. 5 minutes later, he comes back. Mr. President, we would be honored to supply you with 28,000 soldiers. We would be honored to accept hundreds of thousands of people all over Mexico and remain in Mexico until we check them out. It was pretty amazing. We got all 10 things. It took about 5 minutes. It took longer to create the piece of paper that he had to sign than it did to win the negotiation. But we don't do that.
Looks so
too
disgusting
much.
eating those nuggets. Then why don't you fucking
We
stop
have a
looking
big
at me, you
advantage
stupid
over
fuck?
China, but people don't know it. We have an advantage over Russia. Big, but we don't know
How
it.
about that?
Nobody knows
Just
it.
close
We
the
don't know how to
fucking
use it.
screen, you
If they
dumb
did
shit.
know it.
you tell them.
Welcome.
The border
Hit the
was
X.
the best and safest in
No, bro, I
U.S.
need those
recorded
views right
history. They've turned it into a nightmare so quickly. The election was rigged and stolen, and now our country is being systematically destroyed. And everybody knows it. And this corrupt January 6th of unselect people, they're unselect. They never comment when I use the unselect committee, but this corrupt group of people, these are the same people that went after me for the impeachment hoax, number 1, number 2, the same people.
Number 1.
Adam Shifty Schiff, the same people. They look
Back-to-back
into the
impeachment
mics,
champion,
then they
dude.
lose, and then they go on to the next one.
Man, that's a
It's
T-shirt right
disgusting.
there.
If they'd use the same
We need to sell that.
energy to go and make our country great, it would be an incredible thing, but I don't know if they can do that. But I ran twice, I won twice, and did much better the second time than I did the first, getting millions and millions of more votes than in 2016, and likewise getting more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country by far.
Yeah, and you lost.
And now we may have to do it again. We may have to do it again. Thank you. Thank you. It's so sad what's happened to our country. We're like a third world country in elections, and we're like a third world country on airports. Has anybody been flying around?
He's right about that. Yeah, yep, got him.
LAX is a third world
Classic,
airport.
classic Trump. He just like hits you right where you
Earth-shattering victory in 2022. We have to do it. Coming up in November. So to win in this November, this election needs to be a national referendum on the horrendous catastrophes the radical Democrats have inflicted on our country. The Republican Party needs to campaign on a clear pledge that if they are given power, they're going to fight with everything they have to shut down the border, stop the crime wave, beat inflation, and hold the Biden administration accountable. They have to hold it accountable. Job number one for the next Congress.
He lost to a corpse, literally. I think he would have lost to a turkey sandwich.
Thank you very much.
It would have been
I don't know.
worse.
Job
I mean, he
number
could've
one for
defeated
the
Hillary
next
Clinton.
Congress
Oh, man.
and the next president.
I think he'll defeat Hillary
will be
Clinton again when she
to
runs
I could
restore
beat him.
public
I really do.
safety. People are
I think I
walking
could've beat him.
outside and
Goated,
getting
bro. Of course you could beat him.
shot in the head because of the radical left's merciless crusade to dismantle law enforcement in America. Our country is now a cesspool of crime, like it's never been before. They've never seen anything like it. Other countries are talking about it. We're talking about democracy. Isn't it great? And then they say, you had 7 people killed in Chicago this weekend. You had 68 people shot. That's not democracy. That's not what we stand for. Savage criminals are being released on cashless bail to continue their violent rampages against the United States of America. Entire communities are being torn to shreds with stabbings, shootings, stranglings, rapes, and murders. On that little piece we showed you, did you see the man with the knife in the back? Did anybody see that?
Christ.
I looked at it. I didn't notice it the first time, and I looked at it tonight. I'm getting ready to come on. A knife right in somebody's back. The streets of our Democrat-run cities are drenched with the blood of innocent victims. Gun battles rage between bloodthirsty
Makes it sound
street
like we're
gangs.
in a fucking purge.
Bullets tear into crowds at random, killing wonderful, beautiful little children that never even had a chance. They're struck and they're killed, and carjackers lay in wait like predators hunting their prey. They want that car. They're going to take that car. In California, people are leaving the trunks of their cars open so criminals don't smash the windows when they try to rob their valuables. They leave the trunk open so that they don't break the car and break the back of the car when they try
like
and
a
steal the
GTA
tire or
Online
whatever
lobby.
in the trunk. So
He's
they just leave it
describing.
open, take it.
America's
But please don't
PvP
destroy my car.
unlocked.
In Los
We need
Angeles,
Batman.
burglars are stalking people back to their homes to clean out the entire house at gunpoint. They follow
All
them.
the time.
They live in Beverly Hills. They live in some
All the
nice
time. I'm
community.
being
They
robbed
follow
like
them back
nonstop,
and they
brother.
go
I-
in
The
it's
middle
just
class
crazy.
of
and they
Beverly
do
Hills,
things that you don't want to
folks.
know about. And this
Tearing
has to
apart
stop,
the middle
and it has to
class.
stop
I don't understand. Like, why does he
now.
care about the bi-coastal elitists all of a sudden? You know what I mean? Aren't these like the elitist Democrat pedophile?
We are going
you
to
know,
make
libs?
America great again, but we have to make America safe again first.
He can't help but announce his next run.
It's time for
president.
leaders who have the courage to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. Has to happen. It has to be happened. That's why when I see Tudor, when I see Kerry, when I see the people that are running, these people are not going to play games. They want to bring our country back. They're going to bring our country back. To repair the damage from Democrats, gutting of police forces nationwide, defund the police. How about that? Defund the police. Now they're saying, well, we really didn't say that. Oh, yeah, they did. And now they're saying it again. Never going to change. The next Congress should spearhead the largest increase in the hiring of police officers in American history, hiring tens of
Didn't Joe Biden
thousands
literally
more
fund
officers
more police?
nationwide.
He did.
Make our cities safe.
You bring
We
up
have
a
to
really
leave
good
our
point,
police
actually, which is
alone.
precisely
Let
what
them
I'm
do
saying.
their
Dumbass
job.
Democrats will literally concede the Republicans on the point that, like, the police need funding, like, more funding, and then they'll end up funding the police more. But nobody believes when the Democrats fund the police more, and everybody believes that, like, the Republicans are truly funding the police. So it doesn't even fucking matter. They just hold the L.
Why are these people
You know, when I
dressed
came out here a little while ago, I have a consultant, and he's a very nice person. He's a rhino. And he said to me, sir, I don't think you should say that last statement.
What did he say?
I don't think you should say it. It's really not good. I don't think it'll be that popular. I said, what? You mean the fact that we should let police do their job? Sir, I think it's probably not going to be received well. I don't care. You have to let it be their job.
Yeah, I'm
He's a
sure
rhino, but he's a
Republicans
nice
said
person.
to Donald Trump, sir, you shouldn't say we should let the police do their job.
We need to return to the tried and true strategy of a thing called stop and frisk.
He's like,
We
he
have
wants
take
to
the guns
implement
away
stop
from
and frisk
people that are
globally.
criminals.
Like,
Instead of taking guns away from law-abiding
At the
Americans, let's take them away from the violent felons and career criminals for a change. And we also need a no-holds-barred national campaign to dismantle organized crimes. These are street crimes. Organized crime today is on the streets, and this administration doesn't want to talk about that crime. They want to talk about what they think are other crimes, and many people say they're not crimes. We have to round up the drug dealers, the gang members, and the dangerous offenders, charge them for their crimes, and get them either out of our country and back to where they came from.
Trump
or
is
put them
running on
behind
bringing back
bars.
stop and frisk to the entire country.
If you look at countries throughout the world, here's another thing. Please don't say it, sir. Please, sir. I've been doing this for 30 years, sir. Then I looked at his list of wins. It's not too good. I must say.
And why is he your
Please
consultant?
don't say it, sir.
Yeah, why did he? Why
If
did
you
he
look
hire
at
you?
countries throughout the world, the
He's
only
like, I
ones
hire
that
all the biggest losers.
problem are those that
I hire the
institute
best.
the death penalty.
He hires
for
the
drug
best
dealers.
best
That's-
losers just to laugh at them, I guess. All of my consultants, they're rhinos, they're cowards, they're losers. Believe me.
When I was in China, and until the plague came in, I had a very good relationship with President Xi. We made a great trade deal for our manufacturers and farmers, but after the plague, I don't even talk about
That was a
deal.
shitty deal.
Too much damage done. But I had a great relationship with President Xi of China.
Top G,
Strong
he
man.
loved me.
You could go all over Hollywood. You couldn't get an actor to play the role of President Xi. He's a great guy in many respects, but
Wait, what?
he's not too in love with our country. I can tell you that.
What?
But I said very innocently,
What does that have to do with
do
anything?
you have a drug problem? First time I met him. And he looked at me like, what kind of a stupid question is that? No, I said, President, do you have a drug problem in China? No, I don't have it. Why would we have a drug problem? I said, well, what do you do? Oh, quick trial. Quick trial. I said, what's a quick trial? Quick trial is they bring drug dealers quickly to trial, and if they're guilty, it's immediate execution. Now, it sounds horrible.
Wait, what?
Sounds horrible. It sounds horrible, but every drug dealer in this country, they say on average, will kill at least 500 people. Some people think it's much higher than that. So you would stop it. And I believe
What is going on?
if you instituted the death penalty for drug dealers, traffickers, I believe that drug dealing would go down 50% on day one. 50%. I really believe that. I think it goes down the day you institute it. I'll tell you one thing, if I'm a drug dealer, I'm going to say, no thanks, I'm going someplace else. And so other people.
totally.
In Singapore, you see what's going on in Singapore? Very rich society, very powerful on drugs. They have no drug problem whatsoever. A lot of money, plenty of money to buy drugs. They have no drug problem. They have the death penalty for drug dealers. Other countries likewise. We form blue ribbon committees where we put our great First Lady, Melania. She's in charge.
Great first lady.
We have a blue ribbon committee headed by the First Lady and very nice people, fine, fine people, dilettantes, socialites. If they ever met a real killer drug dealer, they ever met El Chapo or any of these people, I think that would be the end of them. They'd say, I'm not doing this anymore.
This is fucking insane. Like, he's just
But
straight up.
we have blue ribbon
He's running on the
committees headed
Duterte
up by
campaign,
great
brother.
People that really are well-meaning. And we were, and I will tell you, our First
Also,
Lady
where
did
the
a good
fuck will
job.
Don
She
Jr.
worked
get his
hard.
drugs if he
And we
kills
got
every drug
drugs
dealer?
down 19%. That's great. But you know what that is? That's like nothing. And today it's worse than it's ever been because the border's so open that not only people are coming through, and bad ones, criminals, they're emptying their jails into our country, but drugs are coming into our country at a level that we've never seen before. Fentanyl coming in from China. You know, I was with Xi and I said, listen, you can't send fentanyl, you can't do it. They were really cutting down. They were really cutting down. Things were going really
Like
well.
she
and
was
then this
sending
tragedy happened in November.
Fentanyl?
2 years ago. Tragedy. It was a tragedy for our country what happened because of what's gone on. All they had to do was leave everything
What?
in place. This place was going so good. And,
She was sending fentanyl?
couldn't help themselves. What a sad thing. But when I see these blue ribbon committees, it's just, and everyone wants to get on. Could I get on the blue ribbon committee, says the local architect? Yeah, but they don't know what's happening here. No, you need the death penalty for drug dealers. Drugs will go down immediately by 50% and probably more. But you have to mean it, and you have to mean it. And when you look at China and other places, they don't have a problem. If they had that problem, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. And they weren't. They had this problem many, many decades ago. And other countries, far smaller, were able to invade them and take them over because everybody was suffering from drugs. And they said, we can't do this.
Wait,
So it's not very politically
wait, people were
correct
taking
to
over
say
countries because they were just so
that you'll
fucked
save
up on
millions
drugs
and
that they
millions
couldn't
of
defend
lives.
themselves?
Last
What
year
is he
we lost
talking about?
Probably 250,000
What?
people to drugs.
What is he
250,000.
talking
There's no
about?
War. If you were at war, these are
They were
numbers
too
that are
fucked up
bigger
to operate?
than war numbers. 250,000. They say it's 100,000. I say it's much more than that. It's probably much more than 250,000. But you also have destroyed.
He just
millions
sits
and
there
millions
and the
of
crowd just
families
waits till he says one of
throughout
his
our
greatest
nation
hits and
because
then they
of
all cheer.
drugs. In places where there is a true breakdown of the rule of law, such as the most dangerous neighborhoods in Chicago,
They don't know what
the
the
next
fuck he's saying
president
either.
should use every power at his disposal to restore order.
And then I'll be like, we
And
got to
if
arrest the
necessary, that
Democrat.
includes sending in the National Guard or the troops.
Yep, see National Guard and the troops. There you go. Yeah, brother.
Every American of every background deserves to live in safety and in peace.
See, now
Every
people
American.
are understanding him now a little
One
bit
of
more.
the things that we were saddled with, and one of the hardest decisions I had to make when I looked at some of these cities that were run by Democrats going so bad so fast, I wanted to send in the Guard, I wanted to send in the troops, and sometimes I did. In Minneapolis, I sent in the troops and saved the place. I was getting ready to send them in Seattle when, if you look at, I guess it was Antifa, took over a big portion. You don't read about that too much. Nothing happened to those people, or very little. I think nothing. But they took over a big portion of Seattle. The troops were ready to go in, and they heard that. All of a sudden, they decided to leave. Thank you very much for leaving. But, you know, the president is not supposed to be doing that. The president is supposed to do it at the request of the governor. Well, when the governor was a Democrat, or the mayors are Democrats, they don't want any help under any circumstances. Very much like on January 6th, where I offered Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of D.C. from 10 to 20,000 troops, because I thought the crowd was going to be very, very large coming in, because I felt it. You could see it. And they turned it down. And if they didn't turn it down, and Kash Patel is a witness, right? I think you can. I
Wait,
can
is he
say
saying
you're
that
a
he
witness.
tried to bring in the
But
Guard
we have
and they
many
turned
other
it down?
witnesses to that. From 10 to 20,000, they turned it down. And had they not turned it down, you wouldn't have had January 6th as we know it. But the
Oh, Hassan,
president
get in here.
is not supposed to be sending in it at will. I think the next time, either we're going for a very quick change or we're sending them in, because we're not going to let Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Portland. Portland is, they don't even, when the storefronts, they don't even use new storefronts. You know what they do? They just put up wooden barricades now for stores. For
What
the
is he
few
talking
remaining.
about?
Places are burned out Hulk, and nothing happens to those people.
I mean,
that have
Portland
destroyed
sucks, but it's not that bad.
that
I mean,
place,
come
that
on.
city. It's also time to
I was just there a few weeks
take back
ago.
our
It's not that
streets and
bad.
public spaces from the homeless and the drug addicted and the dangerously deranged.
Burned out hole.
Because no civilized society can allow this depravity and squalor to continue. You can't let this happen. Places like San Francisco, the backyard of Nancy Pelosi. She, by the way, has a big wall around her house. You know that, right? But it's so bad. It's gotten so bad. People are leaving. Nobody wants to have office space there. Who would want to have an office space when you're walking through a lot of people that are unfortunate and, in many cases, very sick, mentally ill? It's actually dangerous to walk into your office. If liberals think that it's somehow compassionate, then you're going to have to let them invite the homeless to camp in their backyards, in their homes, and ruin their property and attack their families and use drugs where their children are trying to play. What? And all of a sudden, that'll stop very quickly. The only way you're going to remove the homeless encampments and reclaim our downtowns is to open up large parcels, large tracts of relatively inexpensive land on the outer skirts of the various cities and bring in medical professionals, psychiatrists, psychologists, and drug rehab specialists and create tent cities. You have to have it. They have tents right now. They're living in tents with holes in them. You don't have time to build buildings. You can do that later, but you have to get the people off the street. We have to bring back, we have to reclaim our cities. And now you'll have people
Rome wasn't built in a day,
that will be
folks.
taken care of. We'll have doctors. We'll have everything. And we have to relocate the homeless until they can get their lives back and then come back to where they want to be. And we'll bring a lot of them back. They will come back. But right now, nobody's coming back. You have no medical help. You have no nothing. It's so dangerous, those streets. Los Angeles is so bad. San Francisco, every city that's run by Democrats, so bad. We want them to succeed. We want people to succeed. But they cannot be allowed to
LA
turn
sucks,
every
I'll be
sidewalk
honest with
and
you. I
public
don't-
park into their personal
LA does suck.
campground. It's so dangerous. As everyone here in Texas knows firsthand, there is another horrific
It's really
disaster we
fucking
must
terrible. It's hard to
confront.
disagree that LA
if we want to
sucks.
restore safety in our country. At long last, we must stop the invasion at our southern border. It's an invasion. Our country is being invaded.
How many times are you going to go back to this? It's like the fourth time he's talked about the border.
Our country's being invaded just like a military force was pouring in. Just last month, an illegal alien here in Texas was indicted for the cold-blooded murders of 4 elderly women throughout the state, and he's been accused of links to the deaths of at least 24 people. 24 people. Perhaps the deadliest serial killer in Texas history. They're now saying he could be the deadliest serial killer. He's an illegal alien. Earlier this year, an illegal alien fugitive with a prior arrest for aggravated assault and many other arrests viciously shot
My neighbor
and
got his
killed
like
a
hedges
Harris County
trimmed
police
directly
officer.
into my fucking
at a
backyard
traffic
and
stop.
front yard.
No reason whatsoever. None.
Did you get pissed?
And in New Mexico
how the
last
fuck
year,
that
an
works,
illegal
but-
alien criminal out of jail
Extremely white people
on
shit.
unsecured
No, they did
bond
not clean it up.
was charged with decapitating a
The
man,
MB arc? What do you mean? I don't give a
mutilating
fuck
his
about.
body,
I don't give a fuck
and
about the
kicking his
trimming or
head
whatever. But
around
it's like
like
all
a
over my
soccer ball all
backyard.
over the public park. Think of this.
NIMBY mode. Wait, what?
Animals. Never forget, every death at the hands of a criminal, illegal alien, is entirely preventable. This is all preventable stuff. We remember Kate, don't we? We remember Kate standing in San Francisco with her father. We remember that. A man who came in 5 times at least and shot beautiful Kate dead. Republicans in Congress must make clear that on their watch, not a single penny of taxpayer money will go to funding Joe Biden's open border agenda. It's a sick agenda. It's a sick agenda. Makes no sense. And some things make sense. You know, I understand the other side. You always have to understand the other side. I understand the other side. Open borders, nobody has open borders. It makes no sense. You know, we fight and spend billions and billions and even trillions of dollars defending the borders of countries that are 7,000 miles away, but they don't want to spend any money to defend our border. Makes no sense, does it?
He's talking about NATO, right?
Next year, we have to use the purse strings to send a message to every would-be illegal alien all over the world. If you break into our country illegally, you will.
I don't even want
caught.
people crossing the
We will
Canadian
detain
border
you, and we
illegally.
will quickly
People are swimming
send
from
you
London.
back to the place from which you came,
They're
or put
swimming.
you in prison
If
immediately.
you're Polish and you go to London, I'll tell you, cut it out.
They're swimming in over the border, folks.
And we did that. We told people
We need to
remember
build a wall on
at
our
the beginning we had
eastern
these big
border.
caravans. We didn't have the caravans, and now they're starting at caravans. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
Caravans
But
nobody's
the
ever
Obama
seen.
administration had a big problem before us because they would bring people into Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, and Mexico, lesser extent, and they'd bring them back, and they wouldn't let us land the planes. They wouldn't let them have buses. They wouldn't let them come back into the country. So you'd have the worst gang members in the world, mostly MS-13. And if they came from Honduras, we couldn't get them back. And I had some incredible people in my office, Border Patrol people, guys like also Tom Holman and Mark Morgan.
I missed it. He blamed January 6th on Nancy Pelosi. I fucking love that. That's brilliant.
So many
That's like
others.
good. That's
These are
unique. That's
great
creative.
people. These are brave people.
I like that.
But they'd be in and they'd say
He
to
said
me,
that he
"Tell
called
me,
in 10 to 20,000 National
we
Guard.
can't bring them
Nancy
back, sir,
Pelosi denied it.
because the country won't allow." I said, "Really? Why won't they allow? They won't allow. They don't want MS-13 back in their country. They force them out. They put them into caravans. They force them out. And why wouldn't they? How smart. I mean, you don't have to be. They don't want them in their country. So what happens is I said, all right, good. How much money do we pay those 3 countries? Sir, we pay them $750 million a year. It's a lot of money, right? Peanuts compared to what we pay to some, but $750 million. I say, that's all right. Put out a notice immediately that we're stopping payment. We're not going to pay anymore. And they said, sir, I don't think it'll work. We tried everything. That's why we kept them here, because we couldn't get them out. That's all right. You let them know we're not going to pay any more money to them. The following morning, I got calls from the 3 presidents of the country. President, there seems to be a problem. Our funds have been cut off. Yeah, they've been cut off because you
I was
wouldn't
here when
allow
he said
these
drug
people
dealers
back
deserve death.
that you probably pushed into our country because you didn't want them, because they were criminals and they were in jail in many cases. You got to take them back. Oh, President, this was just a minor misunderstanding. We would love to have MS-13 come back into our country. And they took them back, and we couldn't get them out of here fast enough, I will tell you. It's true, Carrie. Carrie will do it. Carrie's going to stop them at the border. There's nobody coming in. Arizona, that'll be a safe place again. This guy Kelly, by the way, he's done nothing. He's done nothing. Blake Masters is going to do a fantastic job, Carrie.
Straight up school shooter Blake Masters, dude. I've never seen.
Kelly's got nothing going. He never did a thing.
I've never
did
seen
a thing.
a more school
We'll
shooter.
also need a
looking
record increase in the number of
congressperson
new
before him.
ICE officers and Border Patrol officers to resume the enforcement of our immigration laws and to deport the illegal aliens Joe Biden is refusing to deport. They won't even take out illegal aliens out of our country. In addition, we should pass much tougher penalties for repeat immigration violators, of which there are many. If you're a foreign national who repeatedly tramples upon the laws of our nation,
I didn't
You
see
should
the
be
homeless
looking
encampment thing that he said. He
spending a
wants to
long time in
relocate the
jail. We can't
homeless.
do
That
it
sounds
anymore. We can't.
wonderful.
He
We're like
Bust
the
them out
poor,
to
stupid
outskirts
people
of town.
that take everybody,
sounds wonderful.
including criminals and some of the worst murderers in the world. As we secure the border, another key priority for the next Congress and the next president will be to drain the swamp once and for all.
We're going to drain it big time this time, folks.
Yeah. Isn't that just mean an abject failure for this first presidency then? Like, technically, I mean, we all know what he means. Like, he's such a bullshitter. And he was the swampiest,
To remove
right?
rogue
But, like, also, none of those
Deep
fucking...
State Congress should pass groundbreaking reform.
Roe v. Wade, right? That's what he-
Empowering the president to
Yeah.
ensure that any federal employee who is corrupt, incompetent, or unnecessary for the job can be told, you're fired. You ever hear that? You're fired. Yeah, fired.
Say it again, Trump. You're
Our
fired.
current appeals process to remove these bureaucrats, people that can really be bad, they can even be thieves. You can catch them stealing large sums of money. You have to go through a 3-stage appeals process, which takes on average 5 years per stage. 15 years, you'll be gone. You'll be out of office by that time. In other words, to fire someone who is doing a bad job if the government wins will take more than a decade.
It's quite
under the
literally
current
why he's
system.
not in prison.
Almost all politicians won't start that process because they'll be gone and they know it. You know, a lot of politicians, they go to Washington, they're all set, and
'Cause
then they get caught up.
he's
with
able
people
to
that
appeal
say,
everything.
Hey, I'll be here a hell of a lot longer than you will. And the politician just goes about having nice
The
dinners.
self-report. He's
We
projecting.
can't do it anymore. We got to run this country properly. Because it's time to clean house in Washington, D.C. And we did a lot of it, but nobody knew the deep state was that deep. We did a lot of it. As we take
what did he
power out of Washington, we also need to take power back from the left-wing lunatics who are indoctrinating our youth. We have to finally and completely smash the radical left's corrupt education establishment.
Talking
The
about
current
you, Austin.
system
Yeah, he's talking
is
about the gays.
sick.
No,
It's
radical
sick.
left.
Oh, yeah, that's
We're
me.
the lowest
The very
scores
radical
almost
left.
in the world, and we spend more per pupil than any other nation. School prayer is banned, but drag shows are allowed to
Yes.
permeate the whole
Everybody knows
place. It's okay.
Everybody knows drag hour at
You
school,
can't teach
dude.
the Bible, but you can teach children that America is evil and that men are able to get pregnant.
Everybody knows drag is a religion.
Whatever it takes, conservatives must liberate America's children from the captivity of these Marxist teachers' unions. That's what they are. Where do they
Separation
come
of
from?
drag and state, folks.
Marxist teachers union. I love that.
We need to defend parents' rights. Think of this. I gave a talk a few days ago, and I was talking about defending parents' rights. And I just said, you know, it says parents' rights. I said, can you imagine we're even talking? We are going to defend parents' rights. Did you ever think 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that we would be fighting for parents' rights? What's more basic than parents' rights, especially parents' rights over their children?
Parents' wrongs.
We're trying to defend
We're defending parents'
rights. It's
wrongs
so
now.
crazy. Across
We
the
like
country,
it when
we
parents
need to
do rights
implement
and
strict
wrongs.
prohibitions on teaching inappropriate
The greatest defense is the top of the hour ad break, though, which I forgot to fucking run last time you did the debate, but I'm not going to forget this time. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is
Federal
subscribe,
bureaucrats
folks.
are going to push this
For
radicalism.
$5 or
We
for
should
free with a
abolish
Twitch Prime,
the
believe me,
Department
folks.
of Education.
I literally forgot to run it when you did the debate.
Well, run it now. Run it now.
Tyler Spark, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, allowing 10 Americans to no longer see the ads at the top of the hour. Only Americans, though, folks. Here's the 1 minute ad break now.
What did he say that was so...
And we will keep men out of
I think he said we should
women's
abolish education.
sports.
God's third leg. Thank you for the 10 gifted.
This is all they fucking care about.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting a much larger applause for this than anything else.
That's another one. And by the way, we have a great person here. Where's our beautiful, great swimmer? Gaines, where's Gaines? Come up here. Will you please come up here?
Come on, grab the mic.
Come on. This is a great champion.
Come on.
And she was beating everybody, and then one day she looked over and said, that's the largest human being I've ever seen. Come here. Come on up. She's been so brave, because a lot of people say you can't talk about it. They told me, please don't mention that, sir.
Please contest the transphobia.
And I did about 3
weeks.
weeks.
What do you mean? Like, what do you want me to say? Like, it's psychotic.
Look at this.
Like, it is completely fucking psychotic.
Look at this fine woman, folks. Isn't she fantastic? Look at how gorgeous.
Who is this?
Basically, all I want to say is that it takes a brain and common sense and 5th grade biology level understanding to realize that this is blatantly unfair. It's completely obvious, and so I spoke earlier today, and I said a lot.
Oh, this is the L nerd.
I'll keep it short.
Man, shut the fuck up. I don't want to hear from the 17th place. Dumbass. You couldn't have found a transphobic 5th place finisher, you know what I mean? I don't give a fuck about what you have to say, loser POV. Hold this fucking L. Also, if I looked as homely as she did, I probably wouldn't be advocating for strict gender norms, if you know what I'm saying. Another fucking dumbass TERF that literally doesn't even abide by the traditional gender standards that they advocate for. Dumbass, Helga-looking ass. Go back to the fucking Quaker cracker barn to churn some butter-looking ass motherfucker.
It wouldn't be pretty. I wouldn't invite too many friends to that one, but how ridiculous is it, really?
I didn't say cracker. I said go back to the cracker barn to churn butter. Okay?
In the records by hundreds of pounds.
Cracker Barrel. I fucked it up. Whatever. Shut up.
Teachers should ever be allowed to teach transgender to our children without parental consent.
To what?
At the same time, we need to get critical race theory and left-wing gender ideology out of our military. I had it out.
Quaker barn.
The world is too dangerous for America's armed forces to be politically correct. You look at what's happening with China and Russia, but you look at those rockets going up one after another, and we don't want to be politically correct with our military. We got to be tough. Can you imagine George Patton? He had a very strong temper. He was a very violent man, actually, great general, violent guy. And he'd walk in and he'd be screaming at people. They'd throw him out of the military today because he wasn't nice. Now we have to get back to running things. I had it totally out of the military. I had it out of government through executive order, and you couldn't get the Democrats to go along with it, but it didn't matter. I had it totally out. One of the first things they signed back in was that nonsense, and we can't let that happen. We have to take back over. We have to take over government. We have to run it like it's supposed to be run. We must also win the battle to restore free speech in America. Republicans across government have to be ruthless in going after the new censorship regime. It's censorship. It's worse than it's ever been. I've never seen anything. It used to be, even 10 years ago, because I was always very active with different things, and I'd fight.
Wait, what the fuck?
The media. I'd say something. They'd
Cancel culture's coming for Trump, folks. They're trying to censor his speech.
If you have anything,
they're running out of film because he's been talking for like 3 hours.
To do with certain things They won't even talk about. They don't want
Literally. Oh wait,
January
Laura
6th never
Lobo
brings up
started
the
off
election,
first.
which is the reason all of those
We
people.
we started like at
the
the beginning.
I want him to have like
They
a
don't want to
Green
look at the
Day,
corruption
like, meltdown like they had at the iHeartRadio
that took place
Awards,
in Arizona,
where they put a timer up.
All of the states. You saw in Wisconsin. I was in with Wisconsin,
I want them to.
and it was an incredible group of people. But the nursing homes, traditionally, very few people vote in nursing homes. But in 2020, they had almost 100% of the people voting. And you know how they found out? Because the children of elderly people in the nursing homes were so angry. My father did not vote. He's comatose. He's been sick. He's ready to die. He'll be dead very soon.
Oh, here it
he
is.
didn't vote.
Okay, this is boring. This is the part that I do think like Trump loses the crowd a little bit because he's just like going off the sore loser narrative a little too fucking hard, where he's constantly talking about like how here are the intricate details why I did not take an L to a dead
what they're
man.
hiding, who they're silencing, and who is funding it all, and who is coordinating it. Go out, sign up now, by the way, for Truth Social. It's really great. It's given us a voice.
Using his CPAC appearance into a hashtag ad for Truth Social
Urgent
based.
task for the next Congress and the next president.
He's a grinder,
is
dude.
endless,
Sigma grind set.
We do not have to wait. We have to move quickly. We don't have time to wait. Our country is being shot. It's being destroyed. It's something we have to do for the future. The future of our country is at stake. We don't have time to wait years and years. We won't have a country left. What Venezuela is true. We have to save the economy, defeat the Biden, Pelosi, Schumer tax hike, which is happening right now tonight. Maybe it's already approved. And I do believe that Manchin and Sinema will pay a big price for it. But think of it. This is the only group. They want to do the biggest tax hike in history for Green New Deal stuff. And they're just destroying us when everyone's doing so poorly, on top of the gasoline, on top of the bacon, which is quadrupled. And stop the out-of-control inflation that is crushing American workers and families. It's crushing. Never seen anything like it. To bring down energy prices, we have to abolish the Green New Deal. It's a fake. It's a fake. It's a fake. And, we had the cleanest air and the cleanest water in decades in my administration, and yet we were producing more energy, more oil, more everything than we've ever done before. Instead of begging for oil from Iran and Venezuela and other distant foreign nations, we should be pumping it from Pennsylvania, North Dakota, Louisiana, and if you don't mind, Texas, if you don't mind.
Except, those are the same oil barons that refuse to do it. And he would have fucking caved to Saudi Arabia just like Brandon did.
Able-bodied single adults to go back to work or train for a job in order to receive welfare and taxpayer benefits. We need the workers. We have to eliminate all remaining COVID mandates and lockdowns. And we have to rehire every patriot who was fired from the military with an apology, and we have to give them their back pay. We have to restore America First. We have to go back to the America First foreign policy. We have to be America First. Right now, we are truly America Last. We are America Last. Focus squarely on our national interests, and we have to keep the United States out of these ridiculous, endless foreign wars where they don't even want us. To build on my historically successful trade policies, we need to increase the president's tariff power, and we need to make my China tariffs permanent. We took in billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars.
Motherfucker, half the inflation issue is a consequence of lack of supply. Artificially created lack of supply too. Now that the supply chain has been fixed to a certain degree. Imagine putting tariffs on fucking China. What the fuck would that do to prices?
Hold China accountable for the unleashing of the virus upon the world.
Here's how we deal with inflation, folks. Make it so that every American has to stab one another for their treats.
And we need to rapidly reduce our dependence on China and other foreign nations by bringing our supply chains, factories, and critical industries back home where they belong, like it used to be. Back to the future, back to the future. To be a strong nation, America must be a manufacturing nation, and we were doing that. We were doing that. Now they're sending it all back to other nations to make for us and to make a tremendous amount of money. We have to protect our totally under siege Second Amendment. It is under siege. And restore the ancient and sacred right to self-defense. I'm sorry. One thing you know, they take away your guns. They're not taking away the guns of the bad guy, are they? They're not going to take away the guns of the bad guy.
Dude, there are more guns than people in circulation in America.
We have to defend our cherished
say,
Constitution.
Whenever people say, like, we need to do more Second Amendment rights, I'm like, what do you want? Do you want to arm the babies? Like, who do you want to arm? What American doesn't have arms, man? It makes no sense.
I have arms.
And we have to restore one standard of justice in America.
Which is terrifying.
One standard of justice. So unfair what's going on.
Don't say it openly, bro.
The weaponization
It's legal.
It doesn't matter.
of law enforcement for political purposes must end. It must end immediately.
You don't want people?
There is massive
I actually don't have
prosecutorial misconduct going on
that
right
was
now
like a deterrent, actually.
all over our country, the likes of which has never been seen before.
I have
They've never
pepper
seen
spray
anything like
and
what's
cats.
going on right now. Look at all the people who are in prison or whose lives have been destroyed on January 6th, destroyed. A protest over a rigged and stolen election that nobody wants to look at, while others are allowed to burn
He's
down.
like execute drug dealers, so like every nonviolent drug possessor, but also make sure that the January 6th, prison abolition for the January 6th
I
insurrectionists.
recommend it strongly. We mentioned it briefly before, but I have to say it again, that the National Guard or troops be brought in, but it was turned down by the D.C. mayor and Nancy Pelosi. We would have never had a problem.
Wait, so he would have called the National Guard on his own hogs?
Troops. Is that a correct statement, Cash and Rick? And
Wait, he's saying he would have called the National Guard on his own hogalinas.
They were all there. Nobody wants to talk about it. They never bring it up. It's not that they don't. You know what else they don't want to talk about? How about that phony story? I'm sitting in the back of the Beast. I wasn't sure if I should be honored because I felt very strong. And I had these two big, strong Secret Service guys. And one guy could lift 350 pounds, no problem. And I said, take me to the Capitol. Oh, sir, can't do it. So I grabbed the steering wheel, the commandeer of the car. And he rebuffed me, she said. He rebuffed. Interesting word. He rebuffed me, yeah, like this. He rebuffed me. So my hands fell around another powerful guy, strong as hell. I know these people. These are very strong people. It's just not my deal. And I started to choke him. I felt, when the story came out.
This is a funny ass story, though. I mean, this is his bread and
Some
butter.
people said, I never knew you were that strong physically.
Because it's so dumb.
And
like
then
the way it is
I
so
started
stupid.
throwing
It's like
food all over
perfect
the
for
White
him.
House. No, I have too much respect for the White House. But that somebody could sort of believe, that you could. But to think that I'm going to be
he's
jumping
strong,
into the
is that what
seat,
you could believe?
grabbing a wheel, being rebuffed, grabbing this big, powerful guy, his neck is like this, and grabbing, I'm going to take him.
I am very
boy,
strong.
Oh, boy, oh, boy. Well, we have to put... And guess what? The
Could have been
Secret
possible.
Service put out an announcement, which they never do, put out an announcement that it never happened, which everyone knew anyway. But they won't interview anybody from the Secret Service because they don't want to hear that. And I still see the Times writing about it like it's something that happened. They don't want that. They haven't called anybody from the Secret Service to put them on the stand. It's a disgrace what's going on. It's a one-sided witch hunt that continues and continues. As another example, the sting that they did involving Gretchen Whitmer was fake. Just like those who instigated January 6th. It was a fake deal. Fake. It was a fake deal. Gretchen Whitmer was in less danger than the people sitting in this room right now, it seems to me. And you look to see what happened, and trials are going on all over the place. And I guess a lot of people, Tudor, are being exonerated, aren't they? Huh? They're being exonerated. Finally, everywhere we have the chance, we must pass critical election integrity reforms, including universal voter ID. They don't want a voter ID. They don't want voter ID under no circumstances. We don't want voter ID. There's only one reason they don't want voter ID, because they want to cheat.
You're still.
They don't
live.
want citizenship confirmation. We don't care if you're a citizen. We want everybody to come and vote. Think of it, those two things. No more fake drop boxes. You see the drop boxes. In one case, 100% of the vote went to Joe Biden, 100%. And you saw 2,000 mules. I hope everybody
He's so
saw
bent.
that.
He's still bent. He's so bent, and he will never not be bent. To be fair, I would be upset if a fucking dead man defeated me so thoroughly as well after being gassed for like 4 years.
Interviewed by Fox, unfortunately, somebody named Sandra Smith. And they talked about this whole scam. Don't forget, the cameras have them, and these are government cameras. Some of them were discarded by people illegally, but these are government cameras. The government, and they talked about it. Well, they saw it. They saw the stuffing. They saw everything, looking up for the cameras, the way they came in. They have it perfectly on tape. And she looks and she goes, "Oh, that was debunked." It wasn't debunked. How did they debunk it, Mike? They didn't debunk it. There was no debunking. It was debunked. So what's debunked? They have it on camera. Well, the woman in Georgia that took the
They have it on camera. Yeah,
massive
they were
number of
doing
ballots
normal
from under
shit.
the
What do you
dress
mean
of the
debunked?
table, right? And now
Like, it doesn't even deserve to be
government's
debunked. It just is
apologizing
just
to
normal
her.
process.
Oh, how could she have been so horribly treated? It's very interesting. That one's a very interesting one because remember they said there was a water main break. A water main break, everybody out. They don't talk about the real facts. Everybody out. You got to get out. They all run out. Then a short time later, a small group comes back in. They go right for the table. They don't go back to the machine where they were, which would be more normal. They go right for the table. The dress, they lift that dress up. They grab that group of ballots, thousands of them, putting them in again and again. And then they said nothing happened. Bill
This
Barr
is
didn't
so
want to be
brain
impeached.
disease,
He didn't
dude.
want to
This
be
part
impeached.
is
How do you
like-
not get impeached? Nothing happened. I
Like,
thought the
people
election
believe
was
this, which is
fine.
wild.
The rather respected Bill McSwain, you know, the respected U.S. attorney from Pennsylvania, McSwain, called me, wanted my endorsement because he was running for governor. I said, I wouldn't endorse you for dog catcher because you didn't. And I didn't like saying this. Because you didn't do what you should have done.
I
which
wonder
is
how many people
go
believe
into
this,
the
like,
election
actually.
court. Sir, I wasn't allowed to. Why?
I know it's
Bill Barr wouldn't let
The
me.
fact
I
that
said,
it's
"Put
more
it in
than
writing." He did. He wrote me
100,000
a
is
letter. I
terrifying.
put the letter up, but they don't want to print the letter. A very strong letter that Bill Barr would not let him look into corruption fraud. In Philadelphia, one of the most dishonest election places in the country. In Detroit, the single most dishonest, they found nothing wrong. It's a shame, but we want no private money pouring into local election offices anymore. Think of this Zuckerberg. He put in
Zuckerberg.
$417 million, Matt. $417 million. And Matt knows because he was involved.
I love the
in
way he
Nevada.
says
Matt
Mark
wasn't
Zuckerberg.
Really,
Watch
he
your
was
phone.
sort of on the edge. He
Was
could
his
have
turn
gone
to
either
Zuckerberg.
way. And then he got involved in
Yeah.
looking at Nevada. He said, this is the most
Zuckerberg.
corrupt thing I've ever seen. But we had a Democrat judge. He refused to even look at the case. The case was ironclad. He looked. This case is over. It's a shame what's happening to our country. A shame. Our goal should be same-day voting with only paper ballots. That should be our goal.
Someone in the chat is consistently telling me to stop platforming Trump because leftists have no jokes. So the one joke
Only
now
paper.
they have
You know,
is
France just had
is they know it's annoying to say it.
France, which is a pretty big country, just had 55 million people vote, all paper ballots, all same-day voting. By 10 o'clock in the evening.
For the record, with respect to France, like they do have a very outdated method. However, what he also fails to mention is that it's a fucking national holiday, dumbass.
Do that, but that would be.
But he would never make voting a federal holiday. He would never do that.
Because we have to have honest elections, or we have to have borders, or we don't have a country.
Voting is on a federal holiday.
And if we do all this, if we stop the crime, secure the border, save the economy, defend our culture, and take back our democracy, then America First conservatives will be rewarded with a governing majority that will transform American politics forever. We're at such an important point. The radical left will be banished into political oblivion. We will save our freedom, we will save our children, and we will save our country. But the task will not be easy. Together we are standing up against some of the most menacing forces, entrenched interests, and vicious opponents our people and our country has ever seen. A friend of mine recently said that I was the most persecuted person in the history of our country. And then I thought about it.
It was me.
I didn't have time to think much because I'm always being persecuted. And I felt, he may very well be right. What a terrible thing. We had, think of it, a Russia scam that was covered religiously by the fake news media, even though they knew it was a fake. They knew it was fake. They knew earlier than anybody. It turned out to be a concocted fairy tale made up by crooked Hillary Clinton, the Democrats, a sleazeball writer named Christopher Steele, and a coordinated effort. This could only happen to me with, of all places, you know who coordinated? Russia! They were the ones that were involved with the Russia hoax.
They wanted you to win.
Then I had impeachment hoax number 1.
They wanted you to win.
Number 2. The Mueller investigation resulting in a verdict after 2 years of no collusion with Russia. During the very early part when I came down the escalator with our great First Lady, who, by the way, is very popular. They love our
fuck
First
she's
Lady.
not?
Great style.
She's less popular.
Great heart.
Great style.
But when I came down
Fantastic
the escalator,
ass.
Believe
me.
Early on,
That would get
young people
so
would
many
come up,
fucking.
you might have
That would
heard
get a
this
lot of
story, I've
applause,
told it a
though.
couple of times.
I know.
How much?
Doesn't she have a
But
nice
young
pair of
campaign
tits
work-
too?
Sir, it's such an honor to meet you, sir.
People would love that shit.
She would go crazy.
Someday I want to be president.
Yeah, I
Sir,
want to
can
fuck
I
your
ask you one
wife,
question?
Mr. President.
Do you have anything to do with Russia? I said, that's a strange question from this kid. Then a month later, somebody else would come up. Sir, it's an honor to meet you. Sir, do you have anything at all or any knowledge of anything that happened with you in Russia? No. And I was so innocent. It was so crazy that I didn't even take it seriously. But after about the 5th time this happened, sir, do you have anything to do with Russia? I said, what the hell
Are
is
these
going
secret
on with
agents?
Russia?
These are secret agents?
And they made up a phony story.
Me?
It was a concocted story. And it really started as a
My nail's
way
chipping. God damn it.
to shift blame for the fact
Shifty shift.
that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats lost the election.
Hey, I'm not as messy today.
But then it got carried away, and the press loved it, and it kept going and going. But I tell this story with a very heavy heart because I have a son who's a very good guy, Don. Very, very good guy. He's a good person. Sometimes he comes across a little rough, but you know what? He's just a good person.
Oh, yeah.
And think of this.
Compared to
Adam Shifty Schiff and these people, they made up this hoax.
Compared to him,
they
a little
knew
rough.
It was a hoax.
little rough around
And
the
I
edges.
saw him at the microphones one day saying, Donald Trump Jr., the son of the President of the United States, will soon be going to jail for what he did with Russia. Think of this. He's saying that my son, my beautiful son, my child, is going to go to jail.
The child of you?
And
What?
he knew it was a hoax. Wants to put my son, destroy my son, and he knew it was a hoax.
What?
And it continues to this day. These are evil people. These are sick people. Think of them. Right? Kimberly? Right? Who has been through anything like this? Certainly no politician and definitely no president.
You quite
All
literally
of
are a
this while
politician
I was
now.
doing so much as president, including creating the most
He's not an
secure border
outsider
in American
anymore. Why does he
history.
keep trying to do that?
Well,
Record
presidents have
tax
been murdered. What is he talking about? He's like talking about the oppression.
$1.87 gasoline, no inflation, low interest rates, record growth in real wages, record growth in our economy, beating China and Russia and everybody else, rebuilding our entire military. Rebuilt our entire military. You know, our military was falling to pieces. We have jet fighters that were 44 years old. You've heard the story where the grandfather flew them, then the father, then the son. The historic Abraham Accords bringing peace to the Middle East. Jerusalem and Israel, much, much more.
Yeah, that
And
was
now
great.
we have the January 6th Unselect Committee of Political Hacks and Thugs, like Schiff. Think of that, though. Think about that. How would you like to be a father and watch this guy? Not a stupid man. He's a psycho, but he's not as stupid. And he does have an oddly shaped head. It's shaped like a watermelon. Right? No, he's a psycho. And he acts like so sanctimonious. Ladies and gentlemen, I report Donald Jr. will be in jail for what he's done. And he knew it was a hoax. What they do to destroy lives, and they're destroying the lives of many other people right now with that same thing and that same sickness and thinking. But it's the very same people who perpetrated the lies that I was an agent of Russia. Me, I'm an agent. I'm the worst thing that ever happened to Putin. Look
This
what
is how
he's
I
doing
describe
now.
Hasan. He's a
knocking the hell
psycho,
out of
but
everyone
he's not a
because he has
stupid
no
man.
respect.
Thank
That would
you.
have never happened with me. Would have never happened. It was an amazing thing. I had to listen to this. You know, with Russia, I put the biggest charges on every one of their people. But what did I do? I stopped Nord Stream 2. Nobody ever even heard the term Nord Stream. I found out, but I stopped them. And I stopped them. Why did I stop them? Because I thought it was a terrible thing for our country. It was a terrible thing for Europe. I told that
Nobody
to
ever
Germany.
knew
They all
about Nord
smiled.
Stream 2.
Very
I
famous
stopped
now.
it.
Germany was smiling when I was at the United Nations saying this is a terrible thing. All you have to do is look at the last 200 years. It's going to happen again. We could end up in World War III because we are being governed by incompetent people. Could happen. And this war will be worse than any war ever because we have weapons the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. But you say, where does it stop? Where does it end? It probably doesn't stop. Because despite great outside dangers, our biggest threat remains the sick, sinister, and evil people from within our own country. Never forget, everything this corrupt establishment is doing to me is all about preserving their power and control over the American people.
Yeah,
They want to damage me in any form so that I can no longer
American.
represent the hardworking citizens of our country, so that I will no longer get a 99% approval rating.
They're doing it
from
to hurt
CPAC.
your feelings, America.
I heard Matt protested. He said it can't be 8. It came out at 98. This is a story. I don't know if it's true, but Matt will tell you someday. He protested. He said, that's ridiculous. It can't be. So they went back and they checked all the facts. And it went from 98 to 99. Is that a true story? And that was McLaughlin. You know, that's a great, legit firm. That was McLaughlin. He said, can't be, that's too hard. It doesn't look right. We'll check it again.
It's really
99. But they don't like that. The other side doesn't like that much, man. And the fake news media is totally complicit in all of these things that are happening. If I renounced my beliefs, if I agreed to stay silent, if I stayed home, or if I stayed in my basement, the persecution of Donald Trump would stop immediately. That's what they want me to do, but I can't do that. And I will not do that because I love our country and I love the people of our country so much.
He has an unquenchable thirst for authoritarian power is what he has. He's a fascist. And that's what he wants. It's all self-serving. He doesn't give a fuck about you people.
I'm not doing this for me.
Yes, you
Because
are.
I had a very good and luxurious life. You know that, Kerry?
I think he also
had a very
wants to be
luxurious life. What the hell did I do?
Yeah, his dad.
I got a racist attorney general in New York that's been after me for years. She campaigned on the fact I will get Donald Trump. She doesn't know anything about me. I will get him. Terrible people. These are terrible people. I built a great company. Now they're finding out this is a great company. Great
Did he
company.
say she's
Actually better than
racist?
they thought. Much better. But I do it for you, and it's my honor.
Like because
do
he's
it. It's my
white,
great
like
honor to do
anti-white.
it.
She's black.
Because if I don't, our nation is doomed to become another Venezuela or become another Soviet Union, which is where we're headed.
Dude, he just
Or become a
fucking
very
straight
large-scale
up
version of
rambling.
Cuba,
Dude,
where all is
I thought his
lost and
speech
there
was
is
gonna
no
end
hope.
45 minutes ago, and I'm
But
not
no
even
matter how
exaggerating.
big or powerful,
No,
the corrupt
he will keep going.
He
radicals,
keeps going in circles.
we
He's
are
hit these
fighting
points
against
like
Joe
maybe-
Brandon doesn't have the energy. Let's go, Brandon. Let me get it. Let's
we
go,
must
Brandon.
never
Going in
forget
the
that
chat,
this
folks.
nation does not
he's like,
belong
you know when
to
you turn
them.
on the news,
This nation
and then you keep watching it for
belongs
about an
to
hour,
you.
and pretty soon the stories start to repeat. Exactly.
This
like
is your home. This
Because
is
they
your
expect people to
heritage.
tune
This
out
is
and
your
tune back
country
in.
that your American ancestors
We don't even need to go
won
back
with
to the
their own
beginning because
courage,
we've probably heard
defended
it.
with their own blood, and built with their own hands.
Hold on. He's gonna say some new racist shit in a second.
From the jagged peaks of the Rocky Mountains
It's awesome.
to the gleaming waters of the Great Lakes, from the majestic valleys of California to the beautiful hill country of Texas.
Texas is fucking ugly. I'm sorry. It's flat.
From the stark
Thank you.
prairies of the
Flat
Great
and
Plains to the
So
not
banks
bless Texas.
of the
No, it
Rio
didn't.
Grande,
Gave it a lot of fracking cum, but
which is under siege also,
gave
isn't
it a lot of that oil, but not much else.
What hills
of
in
New
Texas?
York and Chicago and L.A. to the beauty right here of the storied Alamo.
Alamo!
We inherit the legacy of generations of American patriots who poured everything they had into the nation that they loved. They scaled the summits, they forged the rivers, they crossed the sweltering deserts, braved blistering winters, conquered an unknown wilderness, and settled the great frontier. They laid down the railroads, they built out the highways, and they turned tiny villages towering into great magnificent buildings of iron and steel
Who the fuck
like
is he
nobody
talking
had
about?
ever seen before. They did it all to make America into the greatest and most exceptional nation in the history of the world.
Who?
Immigrants. Like literally. Literally immigrants. He's talking about immigrants that did all that.
But now we are a nation in decline. We are a failing nation. We are a nation that is hurting very, very badly. We are a nation that has the highest inflation in over 40 years.
Oh my God.
And where the stock market just finished the worst first half of the year since 1872. Likewise, we are a nation that has the highest energy cost in its
Stop
history.
raging over the hedges.
We are no longer energy independent or
Dude,
energy
parasocial
dominant
weirdos are so fucking
as we
strange.
were just 2 short years ago.
I'm not even raging. What the
We're a
fuck?
nation that is
talked
begging
about the hedges in 2
Venezuela,
hours.
Saudi
Yeah, it's a mobile
Arabia,
chatter.
and many others for oil. Please, please, please help us, Joe Biden says. And yet we have more liquid gold right under our feet than any other country in the world. We are a nation that is consumed by the radical left's Green New Deal, yet everyone knows that the Green New Deal will lead to our destruction. We're a nation that surrendered in Afghanistan, leaving behind dead soldiers, American citizens,
Oh my God, dude.
and
I
$85
cannot
billion
believe this.
worth
He's
of
doing it.
the
He's
finest
going back again. Yeah.
I know.
military
We've covered
equipment
this
in the
already.
world.
He looped again, but they love
And
it,
we are
dude.
a
They're
nation
like,
that
yeah,
allowed
they
Russia
have no
to
object
devastate a
permanence
country,
anyway. So
Ukraine,
for them, it's
killing
like
hundreds of thousands
He
of
used to
people.
be better at these speeches.
and it will only get worse.
To be fair, he hasn't done one in
It
a
would
long
never
ass
have
time, so I
happened
think he
with
just
me
like
as your
misses his fucking
commander-in-chief.
hogs.
And for 4 long
misses his
years,
hogs.
it didn't.
So he's like excited to do it
And China
for hours for him,
with
you know?
Taiwan is next. Would also never have happened. We are a nation that has weaponized its law enforcement like never before.
How do they
against
even fucking flip
the
that?
opposing
Like,
political
isn't
party.
Nancy Pelosi doing something
We
that
are a
they
nation that
technically
no
want,
longer
which is like
has
a
a
big
free
fuck you to
press.
China? I thought
No longer
Republicans
has
like
a
Nancy
fair
Pelosi's
press.
China trip now.
Fake news is all we
my
get.
Republican family loves it.
And they are the enemy of the people.
They also love
We are
Hasan,
a
who
nation
hates
where
Nancy
free
Pelosi.
speech is no longer allowed, where crime is rampant like never before,
Right, brother.
where the
They love
economy
it. They
has
love
been
how Hasan hates Nancy
collapsing at a rate that few have ever seen, where more people died of COVID in 2021
This is
than
true.
died in 2020.
This is true.
We're a nation that is allowing Iran to build a massive nuclear weapon, which they are incredibly
Trump
being allowed to
supporters.
do right now, and I had it stopped. And China to use the trillions
Like
and
way more
trillions
Trump
of
supporters
dollars
died
it has
in
taken from
2020
us
under
prior
Doc Brandon,
to
under
our
Doc Brandon's
administration.
rule.
And it's happening again. To build a military
Out of protest.
that will more than rival our own. And just 2 years ago, we had Iran, China, Russia, and North Korea in check. And they weren't going to do a thing against us. And everyone knows it. And perhaps most importantly, we are a nation that is no longer respected or listened to around the world. We are a nation that in many ways has become a joke. We are a nation that is hostile to liberty, freedom, and faith. We are a nation that allows men to play sports on women's teams and to dominate them.
That's
We are
such
a nation
weird
whose
thing to
airports are a
add to like.
disaster.
They'd be
whose
like,
flights-
disaster is afoot, the world is burning, China's gonna
passengers
kill all of
are
us.
stranded all
Also,
over
men
the
get to
country.
play high school basketball with women. It's like, even if that was true, which it isn't, okay? It's such a like a marginal thing to tack on to your otherwise super serious like global events.
Educational system is ranked at the bottom of every single
You know what I
list.
mean?
But we are not
This
going
speech
to
is
let
longer
this
than a lover
continue.
host.
2 years ago, we had the greatest in our nation.
Like,
We had something that was
China is gonna teach Mandarin to every child after their drone army destroys America. Also, there's a trans girl in Utah, and she did a swim meet one time with the rest of the cis girls. Believe me, it's these two things, they're the same. Equal magnitude, folks. The world is
America's
going, the
comeback
world is out of
begins this
control.
November, and it will continue onward with the unstoppable momentum that we're going to develop on November 2024, because that's the big one.
Why didn't he
We
just
are going
announce
to
he's
keep
running? He
on
can't help
working.
himself.
We are going to keep on fighting. We're going to keep
No, I
on
don't-
winning.
He doesn't mention Roe v. Wade anymore because he knows it's unpopular, by the way. Notice how he used to run on like Roe v. Wade is going to be abolished or whatever, but he doesn't really make that a centerpiece of his
Will never
campaigning
be
anymore because he
defeated.
knows
This
that
is the
like it's
greatest
broadly
movement.
unpopular. You can't fault the man. He knows how to read the fucking room, baby. Like
Greatest
even in
in the
this
history of
room,
our
even in this room, even in this room,
There's
like
never been anything like it.
you
Probably
know he would get a
could
lot
say
of
it's
cheers in this room,
the
but
greatest or
ultimately
one of the
it would
greatest
make
in
him
the
look bad
history of the
nationally.
world. And it's interesting because sometimes I'll make a comment and I'll be challenged so strongly by the fake news. But they never even challenged me on that. I've never been challenged. I look at them right now. A lot of viewers watching. They've never challenged me. It's the greatest movement in the history of our country by far. And it will only get stronger with
It's
each
so
passing
dumb. Like,
day.
why would you write that in the
And with the
chat?
help of all of you here
I guess they get
tonight and the
banned.
millions of patriots all across our land,
Idiot.
we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again.
Oh yes, folks.
He's finishing.
We will make
Mawa.
America strong again.
Maza.
We'll make America safe.
We will
again.
make America proud again.
Yes, folks.
Mappa.
We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you all. Thank you.
You know them Hagalinas are fucking going crazy right now. They're absolutely... Oh my God, look at this room, dude. Look at this fucking room, Austin. Oh my God, please show me the room again. The crowd is going crazy for Trump. God, I fucking... this country, man.
Wait, who's that guy who was speaking at the beginning?
Oh, I don't fucking know. Some dickhead.
Oh.
Yes! I love when he dances. That's so great. That room smells like tuna salad Tupperware. Oh my God, that's great. Room's whiter than a blizzard in Montana.
God, what a...
I love when he does his little dances. This is my favorite. Meanwhile, Ben Shapiro was still talking about abortion. This proves that Ben Shapiro was a nerd who has no friends in school and doesn't know how to read a room. Oh yeah, Ben Shapiro does not know how to do that.
God, what a fucking disaster of a speech, man. Fucking awful.
Anyway, can we address Trump's childbearing hips? Bitch, what do you mean? I address it non-fucking stop. You're out of your mind, dude.
God, he's lost it, I think, a little bit. That was a long...
You're wrong. You're coping. He's never lost. He's got no... He's lost no pep in his step.
No, like, he like went back to this. He was just he's on repeat.
Room's redder than Mrs. Claus's cheeks after Christmas.
Do you think...
show, you've got...
Do you think he's going to lose to DeSantis? You think DeSantis is going to challenge him in 24?
I don't know. I actually have no idea. Like, I can't make an assessment on that because, like, I think DeSantis is waiting. I think he's just waiting right now.
I don't think he would, because I think that if more people start to run, they'll fracture the Democratic Party and Trump will have the majority of, like, if there's like a few candidates, he'll be able to capture a larger percentage than anybody else in the party.
Maybe DeSantis is VP.